So with our gorgeous Mr. Z, I know we had to take a little breather in between the other video and this one. What we're going to touch base on is, again, the weight behavior. So weight is where you'd get your boy to go into a sit or a down. Ready, sit? I might even feed him for those sits or downs just to make sure I'm still reinforcing the first skill that we're trying to really hone in on. Now for my weights, and again, you guys can do whatever hand signal. He's like, I like downs best. I would recommend to pick a hand signal that looks different than your stay position. So I like to do open palm, like stop sign, stay. And then I like to do wait, as in wait a moment, almost like a one finger. Can you wait? So remember, it's whatever floats your boat. So if you guys are doing different hand signals, just let me know so I'm not confusing your boy as he's, keeps coming and practicing with me. So remember that. In general, puppies are not very good at generalizing, even adult dogs. So if we are all doing something a little bit different, and sometimes it can obviously add extra confusion to the puppy's end, it may make skills take much longer to be learned or retained. So again, I'm going to tell him to wait, have him hold it for just a couple seconds. You'll see I'm not adding distance on top of this. I normally really love to work my time frame, so my duration first with most of my skill sets. So again, ready? Zeus, come. And I feed him for that. Very nice. So in the beginning, we're working with time frame first. So again, I'm going to tell him to wait. I'm going to have him hang out for a second. If he gets a little eager beaver, I do like to have my hands up higher. So in the beginning, visually, I look a certain way when I don't want my puppy to engage versus I look a different way when I want my puppy to come forward. So you'll see a lot of times, since we've been doing a lot of luring in the beginning, your puppies tend to follow your hands like a target, which is immensely helpful in the beginning, but eventually you will fade out that lure and you'll be, again, just using verbal or visual cues. He says, hold on, lady, I'm distracted. So if I lose my hands, I'm going to feed him for that first little check back in. Oh, there's a crumb, delicious. So let's say again, ready, Zeus? I'm going to get that beautiful sit from Mr. Handsome if I can, tell him to wait. And then when I'm ready in a couple seconds, go Zeus, come. So if sometimes you're finding your babe can barely hold back for like 3 to 4 seconds, I know there's a snack stuck in that crack, and he says one day he will get it. It's like the puzzle toy you never thought you needed. So, but for Mr. Z, if there's going to be moments where he's not able to function, that could be him saying, I'm overtired already, I'm not feeling it. There's plenty of times where we get up in the day or in the morning and decide, you know what, it's not maybe your day. So with Mr. Z, I'm going to do, ready, find it, get his attention onto something else for a moment. Then we're going to, again, if that spot is too hard because there's a snack stuck in the crack, I would move him a little bit further from that moment, tell him to wait, and then Zeus, come. So in the beginning, I like to, again, work that duration, and then from there, work a bit with my distance. Sit. So I'm going to, again, tell him to wait. If, let's say, he's like, no, that snack in the crumb stuck in there is very sad. So ready, Zeus? If, let's say, I'm losing him again, bring him to a new little section of the environment. See if you can regain that focus through, again, a little bit of a check-in. We're going to tell him to wait. Oh, there we go. Get cozy. And then Zeus, come. So you'll see that right now, I'm not adding immense distance between my puppy and I. If my puppy can, let's say, for example, barely hold the weight for 1 to 3 seconds, adding distance or adding tons of distractions like family members or the other second dog at home, or in general, your puppy's attention span is non-existent because, again, he's a baby, you may find that working one element at a time much more beneficial. So you'll also see that I tend to have items available for him to go target and work on. So if, let's say, he's like, oh, this lady's so boring, or I need to put something in my mouth, I tend to have some available chews. So again, I'm going to have him wait. And then again, notice my hands are up. And then when I want him to come forward, I lower and then call him typically, but I know I'm blabbing right now. So that way your body language in the beginning is helping them hold back or come forward. So a lot of times for puppies, when you go ahead and let's say you bend over and you lower, for a lot of the babes that tends to equal come check in, because it for them has always been come grab the food that way. So your puppies in the beginning, remember, since they're not good at generalizing, if we tend to stand a certain way when we're calling, later we need to generalize that and change up the way we look. So as your puppy gets more advanced, remember that your basic skills or your basic behaviors that you're working on will be advanced skills down the road. So a lot of times when people say, oh, my puppy knows this, they already understand it, a lot of times the puppy does well in a sort of calmer or home front environment. Because remember, most of your puppy's experiences tend to happen in your home. So when you're trying places that are novel, that are more distracting, then people are like, oh my gosh, my puppy doesn't listen, he's being stubborn, he's opinionated. Remember that a lot of those behaviors or skill sets are great for people because we as adult humans can proactively decide to do a certain thing on purpose. For dogs, remember that even though they're brilliant, they do not have the same capacities where they, for example, do not out of spite do something or preemptively decide to do something to get back at you. Your puppy typically is responding to the environment and to their own feelings of comfort or discomfort. So if your puppy is failing at even basic skills or failing in the sense of becoming overwhelmed, overexcited, or flustered, then that tends to mean that the way we're practicing is too quick. So ready, Zeus? Come. Nice. So we're just throwing a lovely little recall. So you saw that earlier with the weights, we practiced ending the exercise with a so-and-so and then the come. If you guys prefer the word here versus the word come, you can again do whatever cue word you'd prefer. I would recommend to practice sometimes your weights with a recall and then other times from the environment calling him to you. And then at other times, let's say you do a find it and then you call him from that. So there's many different ways to start to include some of those recall practice moments. But remember, generalization is hard. Nice job, sir. He's like, woohoo. So I definitely would recommend that if your puppy can do a weight from a few feet away, maybe you do those weights at that same level, but at different parts of your home. You do the same sort of level and you do a little bit outside or in your side yard or on your patio or your porch. Ready? Zeus, come. Yes. But if let's say the only times you really practice are when your puppy is in the kitchen or your puppy's in the living room and those are the only bubbles you ever work in, and then you step outside, your puppy's going to have a hard time generalizing their skill set to either outside or to novelty. So a lot of times when puppies are struggling, even adult dogs, that is their only way to communicate how they're feeling in that situation or their level of understanding. So a lot of times when people say my pup is struggling or they're not doing well or they're not catching on, a lot of times we're rushing our steps. So if your puppy is being successful, remember you want to start to then do the same setup but in different bubbles to start to create that no matter where your puppy is, the same setup from your end will be consistent. Then as that becomes much more resilient, reliable, and kind of predictable, then you can start to change up the way you're working in the sense that you don't always have your treat pouch or you don't always have the gear on in your home or in your yard, but you might have a long line versus a 6-foot lead. So you want to always kind of, as they get more fluid, start to rotate through different ways you practice, but the same foundation behaviors. So, but Mr. Handsome did a really nice job with some of those weights. He says he's already exhausted and he's going and grabbing a chew toy instead to take a break, but we'll work a few more skills with him in just a little bit. Nice job.